Say Jack back with another banger. And we about to get into it right now with that boy John Wick, aka Tay Savage. They said that boy was Von before Von started sliding. They said Tay Savage he was out there sliding though, boy. But hey, let's get into this video, Jack.
Call him Tay Savage, bro. I call him John Wick. Let's start there. The situation with him allegedly
Hey, shout out to J Man too. He pushing peace, I'm pushing peace too. I respect it.
blazing dog mama. Shit, I know he that girl mama. Shit. He shot at me, it hit different. Now Tay Savage, after he get out the hospital or whatever the case is, revive himself, the story in Chicago is that Tay Savage doubled back and end up killing the nigga who Welch and shot him. But before he did that, bro, he that girl mama for driving that car.
Damn.
Tay out, he doing his 1-2, all the car crackers with him. He sliding folks out here, 3-4 pipes by himself. He out here just, he him. I ain't gonna lie, like he is taking treating savages like goofies, robbing folk, pistol whipping them out in broad day. He terrorizing the city.
The man that stood over her mom and clapped her, and I can talk about this. This is public documents. You spoke about this in your, yeah, Tay, laugh about this, because you know this is real shit. I can speak about this. This public documents. You beat that. You home now. Welcome home too.
Chicago has got plenty of steppers, but some names carry more weight than others. And Tay Savage, aka the Chiraq'S bully, is one of those names. His reputation in the streets is so solid that just hearing it strikes fear into his enemies. He's earned a notorious rep in the city for being ruthless, from bullying and robbing gangsters all over Chicago to taking whatever he wanted whenever he felt like it. People even started calling him John Wick because of how precise and relentless he was with his revenge.
Y'all call him Tay Savage, bro. I call him John Wick.
Tay Savage's track record speaks for itself. He's been through it all, getting stabbed, shot at, and still walking away from multiple attempted murder charges, along with 2 different murder cases that many believe he's responsible for.
Y'all call him Tay Savage, bro. I call him John Wick.
Some folks even compare him to King Von, but say he was the original before Von came on the scene. Tay's seen it all and done it all, making him a true legend in the streets.
And they was like, man, it's this dude on the deck that remind me of you. So I'm like, yeah, I'm who? Hey, man, his name Von, he from the O. I'm like, yeah. So now I see him, I'm like, I don't really see it, but I'm like, all right, cool. I get to rotate with him. I'm like, yeah, I like this little dude.
But Tay Savage didn't start off like that. His real name is Dwayne Timberlake, and he actually had a decent upbringing in Chicago. As a kid, he wasn't wilding out the way he would later in life, but the street life was never far away from him. It ended up taking a lot from him early on, including time with his dad. His pops got locked up when Tay was young, leaving his mom to hold down the family while his dad served time. It wasn't until Tay was around 12 years old that his father came back into his life.
Did you have your mom and your dad in your life?
Yeah, my pops was locked up most of the time, till I was like 12. He came home when I was 12 years old.
Everything was going smooth for Tay Savage in the beginning. He was in school doing all right, but as he started getting older, the pull of the streets started to get stronger. And you could see the change happening in him. His mom saw it too, and worried about where he was heading, sent him to live with his grandparents to try and straighten him out.
You know what I'm saying? I really was decent, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really no problem. Then I started kind of getting out of hand, you feel me? So she sent me with my granddaddy.
His uncle would sit him down, trying to get through to him, telling him to focus on the opportunities he had in life and make something better of himself. But slowly, Tay Savage was becoming a product of his environment. He couldn't escape it. The streets started calling, and he began to find himself in trouble more and more often. It didn't take long for things to escalate. Tay went from living a decent life to becoming the type of kid that always found himself in the middle of something he shouldn't be involved in. Sure enough, by the time he was 14, he officially jumped off the porch and entered the gang lifestyle.
At what point would you say you ultimately decided to jump off the porch?
Jump off the porch. I think when I jumped on the porch, I was like 14.
It was like that rush. That thrill had him hooked. He started hanging with older dudes who were deep in the game. And at first, it was just smaller stuff. Stealing cars, getting into high-speed chases with the cops. But it wasn't long before Tay graduated to more serious crimes that nearly cost him his freedom and at times his life. From there, it was like everything just kept leveling up. His name started ringing out in the streets as someone not to be messed with. He got the nickname Chiraq'S bully around 2012 because of the way he carried himself. He was always on go, and people knew not to test him. But he wasn't the type of bully who picked on the weak. Tay was with whatever, whenever, and he didn't care who it was. He didn't back down from anyone, and his reputation for always being ready for smoke earned him a lot of respect in the streets. Since he was young, Tay had this fascination with guns. It was like they became part of his identity as he grew older. He was always strapped, and eventually, he wasn't afraid to use them, especially when it came to defending or repping for his gang, Welch World. Tay was the real deal, a natural-born stepper, and the streets were like a drug to him. The life he lived seemed like it was in his blood, passed down through his family, and for him, it just felt normal. But like they say, even if you're a stepper, there's always someone else out there ready to step
That's
too.
facts.
And Tay wasn't the type to let anyone get the best of him. If someone came for him, he'd step right back. That's what the streets knew him for. The savage side of Tay was born and fed by the environment around him, and every time someone tried to test him, he made sure they regretted it. His life became a series of events that only solidified his reputation further, making sure that everyone knew Tay Savage was about that life. By 2011, Tay Savage was already knee-deep in the streets, and his reputation as a savage was growing fast.
That shit crazy how him and Von similar to each other, bro. That shit
He
crazy.
caught 2 attempted murder charges that year, but in true Tay fashion, he beat both of them in 2012.
I had 2 attempts. I did 18 months on that. I had 2 attempts. I beat them in 20. I got locked up in 2011. I beat them in 2012.
But instead of laying low and letting things cool off, Tay still had that fire in him, that hunger for the streets. He wasn't ready to leave that life behind,
All right, shout out to Lil Reese.
not by a long shot. The next year came around, and things started heating up even more. Tay was already wearing the scars of the streets. He had been shanked and shot twice before. And
Damn.
he had a close call with 051 Melly, also known as the
Hey, Red R.P. Melly. That's that boy wasn't nothing to play with. That boy Melly was out there catching caps, you hear me?
Chiraq'S gravedigger, where a bullet barely missed his face and grazed his nose.
Damn.
Tay was out here surviving everything that was thrown at him. Then came Thursday, May 13th, 2010, his mom's birthday. Tay was out chilling with the homies, just another regular day in the streets when they got into it with some other dudes. Things escalated quickly, and before anyone knew it, guns started blazing. In the chaos, Tay got hit twice, one in the arm and one in the stomach.
4 times on 3 different occasions.
Yeah, I got shot twice the last time. I got shot in my stomach and my arm. We was outside chilling, some little words broke out, you know what I'm saying? We having words with people. And, you know, one thing led to another, shots rang out. I wound up getting shot.
It was serious. Tay went into shock, fading in and out of consciousness as they rushed him to the hospital. The doctors had to operate right away to save him. He was in critical condition, but Tay wasn't about to go out like that. He was a fighter, and he pulled through. But while his body was on the mend, his mind was about to take a hit that would change him forever. Just 2 days later, on May 15th, 2010, while Tay was still in the hospital fighting for his life, his best friend, Anthony Ray Welch, was murdered.
I got shot May 13th on my mom's birthday. Yeah. He got May 15th, 2 days
Damn.
later.
News reports said it happened
I know that turned him up like a motherfucker. Your best friend? Damn.
around 7 p.m. near East 40th Street in South King Drive. Welch, just 19 years old, was shot in the chest, and another guy who was with him got hit in the leg. Losing his best friend like that hit Tay hard. It was like something snapped in him. That was the moment where everything changed. Tay's heart turned cold and all he could see was revenge. He wasn't just about the streets anymore, now it was personal. He was consumed by anger and grief and he was ready to unleash that on anyone who had a hand in his bro's death. Tay Savage was officially on demon time, and the streets knew it. From that point on, he wasn't holding back.
What was that feeling like when you heard the news?
Yeah, I was angry. Angry.
I can only imagine how you feel. Your best friend, somebody you done grew up with. Oh yeah, they'll turn me off for sure, my nigga. Fuck all that, cause it ain't that many loyal people around, bro. It ain't that many people you can actually call your friend, bro. Especially you grew up with them, bro. That's a different type of love, bro. So I understand why you got slide.
Furious. More so that I just, like, didn't really care about nothing. You know what I'm saying? It just turned me up as fire. It turned me up as fire, like turned my heart like cold type thing.
After the tragic loss of his best friend, Tay Savage's crew, a Black Disciple set called So Icy Gang, decided to change their name to Welch World in honor of their fallen homie, Anthony Ray Welch. They repped their set hard, rocking hats with the signature W on top and always throwing up the W in memory of Welch. For Tay, it wasn't just about repping his set anymore. It was about revenge. He was on get-back timing, and once he got out of the hospital and recovered, the streets started buzzing with stories that Tay was hunting down the people responsible for his friend's murder. According to the word on the streets, there were two people that Tay had in his sights, a woman named Cess and a dude named Neef. Both of them were allegedly affiliated with a rival gang.
He got the mama.
037,
Damn.
a GD set that was part of a bigger OPP gang called 757. Cess, who was the alleged driver during the hit on Welch, had some ties to Chicago's rap scene too. She was actually the mother of rapper Blasian Doll, though at the time Blasian was still just a lil youngin'. The shooter who allegedly took Welch's life was said to be Neef, riding in the car with Cess that night. Things started getting real on the night of February 25th, 2011. Reports say that around 2:08 a.m., Cess, whose real name was Princess Cole Streeter, was getting out of her car in the 2600 block of East 75th Street. That's when a shooter on foot approached her and opened fire before fleeing the scene. Cess was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, but she succumbed to her injuries 3 hours later. Her sister was with her at the time of the shooting, but managed to escape unharmed. That was one body down, but it wasn't long before the next one followed. Fast forward to April 10th, 2011. Another name was about to get crossed off the list. This time, it was Neef. Reports state that he was driving along 74th Street and Vincennes Avenue when he got stopped at a red light. That's when a shooter allegedly hopped out of a vehicle in front of him and opened fire. Neef, real name Christopher Daniels, tried to escape by throwing his car into reverse, but the shooter chased after him on foot, still firing shots. Neef's car eventually crashed into a parked vehicle, but even after the crash, the shooter kept unloading bullets into the car until Neef was fatally wounded. To many in the streets, it seemed like Tay Savage really did murk Blasian Doll's mom, Cess. Word was already spreading fast, especially after J Mane came out and confirmed the rumors, saying the streets were talking about Tay being responsible for her death.
The situation with him allegedly killing Blasian Doll mama, shit, I know he killed that girl mama. Shit, he shot at me. It hit different. Now Tay Savage.
Hey, shout out to him. It's the it hit different. Goddamn.
Whatever the case is, revived himself. The story in Chicago is that Tay Savage doubled back and ended up killing who Welch and shot him.
Damn.
Before he did that, bro. Before he did that, he killed that girl mama for driving that car.
That just tied Tay's name even tighter to the crime. Life carried on, and for a while, it looked like whoever did it got away with it. But the law wasn't about to let things slide so easily. The cops were already working behind the scenes, and it wasn't long before they came knocking at Tay Savage's door. The crazy part is, they played it slick. Tay was still on parole for about 2 months after his previous run-ins with the law, so when his parole officer hit him up, Tay didn't think much of it. His PO just wanted to see him, and Tay figured maybe he was getting off parole early or something. He didn't expect any trouble, so he played along and complied with the request. But as soon as he got back to the crib, the police were waiting for him. They snatched him up on the spot and took him to the station, then straight to the county jail. That's when he found out what was really going on. They were charging him with carjacking and armed robbery. This was all around October 17th, 2013. His bond was set at $325,000.
Damn.
And it looked like Tay was about to bond out. But just when he thought he was in the clear, they hit him with a murder charge, this one for Cess. Now, Tay wasn't too worried at first. His lawyer, Frank Himmel, told him not to sweat it because the case against him was weak. So Tay was cooling in lockup, thinking it was only a matter of time before he walked free. But about a month or two later, things took a sharp turn for the worse. Out of nowhere, they dropped another murder charge on him, this time for Neef. Now Tay Savage was really in deep. He was facing 2 murder charges and a robbery charge, all at the same time. The situation had officially gotten sticky. Both Cess and Neef's people were pointing fingers at Tay, saying he was the one who pulled the trigger. Court documents that leaked online made things look even worse for him. According to the paperwork, someone who was allegedly with Tay that night spilled the details to investigators. The snitch told them that they had spotted Cess in her car and followed her from a club on 87th Street all the way to another
She crazy, bro. You can't trust nobody. God damn.
on East 75th Street. Once Cess parked her car, Tay and his homies jumped out of their ride. The witness claimed Tay's homie fired 2 shots first, but it was Tay who walked down on Cess, stood over her and said, "I told you, B," before unloading multiple shots into her body. The other person who was with Tay that night allegedly confirmed, according to court documents, that Cess was the one driving when Welch was killed and even chased him down. With that kind of testimony, things were looking bleak for the Chiraq bully. But Tay had one of the best defense lawyers in Chicago on his side, and this guy knew what he was doing. Slowly but surely, cracks started to show in the case against Tay. Other eyewitnesses from both crime scenes came forward, saying the shooter was wearing a mask, which threw a wrench in the prosecution's argument that people had seen Tay's face. Even some of the original eyewitnesses began changing their statements, which started contradicting what Cess and Neef's families were saying. As the evidence started looking more and more shaky, Tay Savage managed to beat both murder charges. However, he wasn't out of the woods yet. While he dodged the 2 murder charges, Tay ended up copping a plea deal for the robbery and carjacking case. Apparently, the witnesses in that case had been targeted and authorities had picked up his baby moms and 3 of his homies, trying to tie him to witness tampering. This all came down while Tay was still in the middle of fighting the second murder charge. Realizing that bringing all of this up in court would only hurt his chances, Tay's lawyer advised him to take the deal. Tay Savage pleaded guilty to the robbery and carjacking and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But thanks to good behavior and earning his GED while he was locked up, Tay only ended up serving 8 years and 9 months. He was finally released on March 18, 2022. While in prison, Tay wasn't staying quiet. He took to Instagram to air out one of the victims in the robbery case who had ratted him out. There were 2 victims, Devontae Scott and DeMarco Holmes. But Tay had a bone to pick with Devontae Scott, who just so happened to be the brother of Chicago rapper C. Huncho.
Well, I definitely blessed me with that. So,
And the people who identified you was C. Huncho's brother? He was one of the guys?
Nah, he was a victim.
A victim. My bad, a victim.
Yeah, he pointed me out.
Damn.
Saying that I poked him.
Tay put Scott on blast for snitching, calling him out for claiming to be a street dude but folding when the pressure was on. In true Tay Savage fashion, he didn't just talk about it. He showed the paperwork that proved Scott had cooperated with the cops and helped get Tay jammed up with a 20-year sentence. Tay Savage, never one to shy away from his past, would often post paperwork from the 2 murder charges he beat, flexing his wins like trophies. To him, those victories in the courtroom were just as significant as any win in the streets. After spending nearly a decade behind bars, Tay had a chance to start fresh. He'd already survived so much, numerous brushes with death, multiple run-ins with the law, and 2 serious murder cases. But now, life was offering him a new path, and he was determined to make the most of it. While he was locked up, Tay Savage stumbled upon a documentary about his life online. It seems that seeing his story laid out like that gave him a moment of reflection. Instead of being defined by his criminal past, he
Say, man, look out, man. Shout out to John Wick, bro. Shout out to J Main, bro. Hey, John Wick, aka Tay Savage, they made some good music, bro. I fucks with them, you feel me? I appreciate the move them boys got going, bro. But make sure y'all get in the comments, like us, sub to the channel. Appreciate all the love I'm getting. Hey, that boy Wick ain't wasn't nothing to play with, boy. He made some good ass music too. So shout out to that man, bro.